Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend and the spring weather is treating you well. So as usual, we always get things to cover, but if you've got questions, concerns, just shoot them in there and we'll talk about those. But you know, the one thing I love about coaching you guys is that I never cease to be surprised about what rings true with you, or what kind of topics you really you feel help improve your businesses, and sometimes I think it's a very boring topic, and nobody's going to be interested, and everybody's interested. And sometimes I think, oh, this is going to be talking about it. Everybody's interested, nobody's interested in it. So, you know, but that happened last Monday when I did the call on annual reviews, and I probably have not. Geez, I've received dozens of emails from guys talking about how that really hit home, and wow, they've been doing annual reviews wrong for the last 2 decades, and this is going to really help them. So, you know, I thought it was a very mundane, boring topic, but it, you know, just goes to show that we can always improve our practices even in the most boring of manners. But one of the emails that jumped out at me was from Tom, so I invited him to be on the call today and just kind of talk about what his points were, or what he took from the annual review call last week. So, Tom, what did you get from that, or why did that ring true with you?
Well, it rang true with me, Mike, for a couple of reasons. The first is that I've made it a priority to do annual reviews throughout my entire career. Didn't always quite understand the importance per se as the way that you had put it last week, but knew there were just a fundamental piece of what I needed to do for my clients. And then you really painted a picture of how to lay it out even more effectively. I know that in my annual reviews, I covered more points that were not financial than points that were financial, which was one of your big points, but certainly not to the depth that you had laid out. So it's really going to refine what I'm already doing or have been doing for years.
Well, and why prior even to seeing that call did you spend more time talking about non-financial than financial?
Well, I learned early on that that it's more than just the financials, as we've been talking about. It's all about, are their affairs in order? Are things going the way that they want to? Are they meeting their goals? Where were they? Where did they want to be? Why did we miss it, or how did we make it? And are we diversified enough? Are our bases covered? You know, are we protected in the event of an emergency or a premature death or a disability or whatever it might be? So I knew that comprehensive overview was just very, very important, and it has brought tremendous success to me, not only from the perspective that, for example, I was in Chicago last week working with a longtime client, and she's retiring 5 years early because of the constant, consistent, complete overview types of annual reviews that we've done over the years together.
And do you find that, I mean, that's kudos to you for doing that. Now, do you find also that on years or quarters or whenever that when the market is suffering a bit, does it mute the discussion of only being about the fact that the market's down?
There really, even when the market is down, there really isn't a big discussion about that point. There isn't a, oh my God, or we're panicked, or we're focused on so many pieces of the puzzle that, okay, the market's down, but you know, fine. For our risk-based pieces, well, it'll eventually come back. For our safety pieces, well, we're protected, so we got nothing to worry about. So it's never been one of those, oh my gosh, we got to panic and we're going to worry about whether we can make retirement or not kind of issues.
Cool. Cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Tom, and everybody else that sent me emails about that call, because sometimes, you know, I think it's going to be just this is a nice thing for people to know, or a nice review, but it just hits a chord with people, and that one apparently did. So I appreciate you sharing that, Tom, and everybody else that sent emails to me. So that kind of feedback tells me that we're on the right track. Yeah.
Mike, can I share just one other
Please.
thing with the group?
Yeah.
I just wanted to stress to everybody just incredibly how important doing those reviews and doing them in the way in which Mike is helping us lay them out, again, not focused on the financial pieces. This client, as I was mentioning, we're going to be moving and repositioning almost $1 million of assets over the next 24 months to fit a sale plan that we had put together. So it's incredibly effective. It can be very, it was said on the call last week, one of the reasons we do this is because we're looking for other assets, we're looking for other opportunities and other ways to ask for referrals. And I was also working with a referral that we're moving over $500,000 right now, and it was a referral from this client. So I just can't stress enough how important it is to do these and do them right. That's
excellent point, so I appreciate that, Tom.
Sure.
Appreciate it. So, and then I had one question here. Tony, I'd like to know more about how to get them to do their reviews in your slow time instead of during the hot time. And that's exactly a great point, and I touched on that last week, but I'd like to spend just a minute or two more on that. I did all my reviews during the summer and during November and December. During the summer and during November and December, because those were the slow periods. I didn't want to work that hard in the summer because in Minnesota that's our 3 good months. And then November, December, I mean, everybody's doing holiday things, and it's just a harder time to get through the 3-meeting process. So I got my clients just, and it takes a year or two to do this, but they just became aware that that's when I did my interviews, is during November, December, and during the summer. And again, it helped a lot to do those 2 fun events for clients, and also that they were constantly in front of me. Now, so let's see if I can get some answers to this. How did I, on a monthly basis, get in front of my folks so that they felt like, man, they were part of my life, they knew what was going on, and I'd actually visited with them? How did I do that? Yeah, the drip campaign, the newsletter. And the first paragraph was always about me and my family. So it was like they were visiting me every single month. So they never really had. I find that when the people that are, when advisors tell me that people are eager to meet with them, want to meet with them, want to meet with them, guess why the people want to meet with their advisors? Why do they matter? When there's this, when I talk to, and some advisors are like this, say, man, my clients are calling me all the time. They want to meet with me. They always want to meet with them. Guess what those discussions are always about? So if your client just thinks it's about money, guess what? They're constantly worried about their money. But when it's just part of the plan, are they ever like freaked out and they have to meet with you on a regular basis because they want to talk to see how the plan's going? See, guys, when you take it to and make it about the non-financial and about the plan and about what they're trying to accomplish, they don't want to meet with you all the time. So they'll just meet with you when you call them and say, let's meet. But if it's about the money, if it's about getting out, if your main focus every time you meet with them is about the money, they're going to want to call you pretty regularly. Some clients, not all of them, but some clients are going to want to call you pretty regularly to discuss what's happening with their money. I mean, if the market's down, they got to meet with you. If the market's up, they got to meet with you. If the market's sideways, they got to meet with you. So, so that's the thing. I think if you can, the more you can make this about the non-financial, the more they're going to be on your calendar versus them calling you and wanting to talk to you all the time. I mean, you're just not going to get a lot of people wanting to call you and talk about the non-financial. So I don't know if that helps or not, but it's over time where you're going to just get them used to meeting with you at certain times. They just get used to, oh yeah, that's when we're going to meet, that's when we're going to meet. But also, the more you can make it about the financial, the less they're going to be wanting to call you about, oh, I just got my statements, let's get together. We got to see if everything you're doing with the client is only about the money, only about the statements, then every time they get a statement, guess what they're going to do? They're going to call you and talk to you about that. What happened with this? Does that make sense? Let's see here. Okay. So everybody loves tape reviews. So I thought I would do a tape review, and this gentleman is awesome because he sends in tapes on a regular basis, and he's always constantly striving to get better. But he also brought up the point that, and in fact, I had 2 or 3 people bring up points at this point in the last, because of Friday call we did here, either last week or the previous week, that even when you're great, even if you've had your best quarter of your career, guess what you're likely to do? When you've just had your best quarter of the year, guess what you're likely to do? You come on to 5Q and you're like, this is awesome. Everything's working perfectly. This is great. I'm making more money than I've ever made. Yeah, get complacent, relax, let off the gas. Coast. If it was all of those things, I'd be happy. But guess what tends to happen? Yeah, Barry. You start to backslide. You start to backslide. Guys, the ML, Major League Baseball has a spring training every spring, and then before every game, what do? Yeah, Gary, bad habits creep in. Even before every game, these are the best baseball players in the world, and what do before every game? So what do before every game? They practice and train before every single game. That's what, 5 or 6 days a week they're doing that, right? And these are the best guys. So by being on the Monday calls, the Friday calls, sending in tapes, you're doing the same thing that the best players in baseball. And I guarantee you that if they didn't do that, how long before their game would start to backslide? So this guy I just love because he's constantly working at his game. So I want to show you some of the good things that he's doing, and then I want to share with you how he is doing a lot of good things, but doing a few things not so well can unwind those good things. So the first thing I want to show you is some of the good things he's doing here, and the one thing that I love is let's see here. I'm going to start. Let's listen to his power of attorney.
The power of attorney for finance.
Everybody hear that okay?
Times, right? So,
like finance and medical, is that what you're saying?
No, right. Those are the two different kinds, right? You got the financial one and the medical one. So first, let's take the financial one. Okay. And the financial one, why do you want to have a financial power of attorney? What kinds of things does that help you with?
Well, if we were incapacitated some way, shape, or form, they could go to that document and get it all squared away.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was they get it all squared away, like you said, Brian. So that would really help. Now, I don't know if I told you my little my bus story last time. Sorry, my kids' friends are trying to Skype them, and I share their Skype account for some reason.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so.
Depending on the age.
Yeah, they're still not getting into too much trouble. But yeah, I can see where you're going. I hope not. So I usually talk about getting hit by a bus. Me, let's say I go outside tomorrow and get hit by a bus, and there's 3 things that can happen, right? One is I bounce right back, I swear at the bus driver, and I go about my life, and I'm okay, right? Let's hope, right? Number 2 is I get flattened by the bus, and I'm just gone, right? So now I pass away, and what document would kick in then? We were just talking about it.
The trust?
Yeah, the trust would kick in, or a will, whichever you have, and that would, disseminate my assets, and we would be okay, right? We got that covered. But what if number 3 happens, which is I become incapacitated, right? Now I'm in the hospital, and I've got tubes coming in and out of me. My wife goes there, and how's she feeling?
Maybe you're in a coma.
Yeah, and she's never seen me like that before, so what's going through her mind?
Yeah.
I mean, how, the situation. And does her life stop just because I'm in that?
So, guys, why do we do he's doing a fantastic job, but here's the thing. Why do we do the bus story, guys? What's the purpose of the bus story? What's the purpose of the bus story? I think this will help you guys with the bus story. What's the purpose of the bus story? Separate the will and trust, Trevor, right. Make sure yeah, that's right, because we don't want them, a lot of people, I've even had advisors get confused on this, about when we use the will and when we use the power of attorney. So you want to make sure then when he got them to say that when you die, that's when you use the will, but you want to make sure then you want to say when we're in the hospital, then what legal document do we need? And you need them to say power of attorney. So what we want them to know is that, hey, if nothing happens to me, I need nothing. If I'm killed, I need a will, and if I'm incapacitated but still living, I need the power of attorney. That avoids them getting confused and at the end really unwinding of our moral of the story with the power of attorney by saying, well, no, my will takes care of that. So we don't want them to say that at the end. So we need to make sure they say when we're in the hospital that that's when you need the power of attorney.
Situation? No, not really, right? And do the bills?
It does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, right, temporarily, but then...
The life she was used to.
Probably get more complicated.
Yeah, and how about the bills? What would happen there?
They'll continue.
Yeah.
And probably more.
Yeah, more and more.
Especially from a medical point of view.
Yeah. So now you got medical, right? Yeah, you got medical bills, right, on top of your other stuff there. So, you know, and how long is the money going to last that's in the checking account?
That's why Bev would be best to say, okay, let's take this old boy back to the scene of the crime, run over the bastard, kill him, and then we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
That's not what I would do.
Well, no, we don't have a choice at that point.
So what he's doing, I mean, the guy's trying to be funny, and is the advisor laughing along with his joke? Is that a good thing? That's an awesome thing. That's the one thing. If they make it funny, you need to laugh. You have to laugh, and he's doing a good job of that.
You're already not.
That's right.
So let's reel him down the hallway and get him through this elevator without the elevator being around.
Take
Yeah.
him to my car, and I'll take him out in the back 40 and
That's right. Bank 40 is where we go.
There you go. But really, if you ran out of funds in the checking account, now, you know, and you're in this situation, what do you do? Well, now, where do most people have the majority of their backup money?
Yeah, right. Well, I think what you're getting at too is in the will or the trust, it could be so stated that the level of incapacitability could.
So do you see, again, do people get confused about the will or the trust, and when the will, trust, and power of attorney, and when they use it? So let's see how he handles this. The guy's obviously the guy is always a little confused. So let's see if he's going to correct him or how he handles this.
Be pretty much taken care of. If I reach, you know, by the doctor saying this boy's done, we ain't going to try to keep him alive or whatever,
Right.
then it could be ended.
Yeah.
The medical bills stop.
Right. Exactly. And that's great you bring that up, because that's another really important thing to have.
So did he argue with them, telling him he's wrong, or just is he rolling with it? He's rolling with it. Awesome job. But now he's got to go back and help the guy. Yeah, getting on the sidetrapper. So now he's got to go back and help him understand what he's actually talking about, but he didn't correct him, which is good.
I was not even in here, but to have like a living will, right? Because that's where that would be taken care of, right? This way to express your well, you know, don't just keep me alive for no reason.
Right.
Yeah, and a living will would kick in at that point. But let's say I'm not that bad off, you know. I mean, I'm going to come out of this. It's just going to take months and months before I do, right? So it's not going to be, you know, hey, let's pull the plug. Because
So did that guy feel like he said something wrong, the way that Tony handled it? Did he feel like he'd made a mistake and Tony corrected him? Not at all. He did it perfectly.
you know, I can be rehabilitated, but it's just, I'm never going to be the same maybe, and you know, I'm certainly not in a capacity to run my household. So now all of a sudden everything falls on who? Yeah, well, in this case, yeah, I'm talking about me. I don't want to put Brian in the hospital. So it's going to be my wife.
Your wife.
Again, we all make little tiny boo-boos, so he figured out, oh, wait, I'm making these things happen to the wrong person. I'm making it happen to the client. And all he did is what? He fixed it and said, no, I don't want nothing bad to happen to Brian. It's going to happen to me. So great job.
Right? So everything's going to fall on her, right? And so now she runs through the money in the, that's going to drive me nuts. She runs through the money in the checking account, and she goes to the next level. So where's the money now? Where's the next level of money?
Well, you know, if we did our planning just right, we've got it set up so that you kick into the high medical bill, and we've got an insurance program for that.
Yeah, and so the medical part would be covered. But what about the the mortgage, the other bills that are the utilities, the food, and everything else is still right. Got to be paid for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What I find in most families, in my family is no different. I have most of the money ended up in my name in the IRA, right? Because I'm still working, and where do most people save when they're working? In some kind of right.
Yeah.
And when you have an IRA, Brian, or a 401, can that be a joint account?
No.
No. So what happens when my wife goes and tries to call my IRA?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because, I mean, today, if you try to call just about your cable bill, are they going to talk to you?
No, they want to talk to the person who's got the name on the line.
The person, exactly. That's really, you hit the nail on the head. They want to talk to the person who's on that account, right? So are they going to talk to my wife?
No.
No.
No. How's she going to feel?
Well, she's going to feel like, how can I get this taken care of when my husband's incapacitated?
Yeah, and so if she doesn't have this document in place,
Yeah, right.
because she doesn't have anywhere to go.
No, right.
And what we're finding is that even people who do have the document in place are having trouble getting to their asset. 10 years ago, having this was enough.
So how is Tony doing? How's his tone? Is he correcting? Is he getting on people's side? Yeah, it's like Barry says, it's like they're reading the script. Exactly. And then when they went off a script a little bit, did he panic, or did he just, hey, agree with them and then rolled it the direction he wanted to go? He's doing awesome. He's doing awesome. Now I'm going to go to the end here. I want you to listen to how he winds up. This is a great example of how to wind up a 21-point checklist meeting. So if I can find it here. Let's see. Back it up. I'm sorry, it's not a very, there we go. We'll try it right here.
And what your wishes are. So yeah, so we
So this is the end of the 21-point checklist here.
good. That's like I said, a lot of info to cover. So
Before we do that, so and he did a great job of this as well. So guys, we go through the 21-point checklist: 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 4, item 5, item 6, item 7, all the way up to 21. And then what do you do? Let's see if you guys know this. Then what do you do? After you've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to 21, then what do you do? Review backwards, John. Exactly right. Exactly, guys. You got it right. So you want to go back and go 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way back. So he's done that, and now he's just finishing up, and then he's going to ask the 3 questions that we ask.
do you feel like you have a clearer picture now of where things are than when you walked in?
No doubt about it. Listen,
Yeah.
thank you for pointing this shit out to us.
Yeah. And are you happy with where you're at right now?
Oh, no way. What are you, nuts?
so do you see we need to maybe, are there some changes that you want to make? Yeah. And where do you see me fitting into all of this?
As the guiding light.
Okay. Right. Good. Well,
So, did he do the 3 questions perfectly? Yes, he did. He did the 3 questions perfect, which is what? Do you have a clear picture of where you are now than when we first started? What did they say to that? Yeah. And then he said, do you want to keep doing what you're doing? You want to make changes? He said, no, we need to make changes. And how do you see me fitting in? And what did they say? I mean, what did they say what did he say? When he said, how do you see me fitting in? You're the guiding light, exactly. Could you get a better answer than that? So that's perfect. Now, here's the thing. On this particular tape, I was like, Tony, you're doing awesome. There's nothing I could even recommend that you do. And then he's, and this is an example of how he's always, how we always have to be maintaining a close watch on what we're doing. So he called me and said, we've got some, things are just going okay. It seems to be, I'm only closing half the deals. I'm losing a lot of people. So I said, well, tell me what's happening. He said, well, I mean, so he sent me, I think, 3 tapes, and we talked about which tape to listen to. And then he said, well, let's listen to this tape. And it's these people, and you know what? They started getting angry at me. Not angry. They started getting irritated with me for asking lots of questions. They were asking that I was asking too many questions. And guys, how many questions do we ask at the 21-point checklist? How many questions? Yeah, exactly, Chris. Chris used a very descriptive term. So actually, tons. So if you're, how do we make, what allows us to ask all those questions, guys? What allows us to ask? GOTS, exactly, Chris. GOTS does. So I'm going to switch to a different tape here of these folks. And again, this is very typical, so I appreciate him letting me share this. This is very typical of what I hear from guys saying, these people they were pretty ornery. She was really getting in my face a little bit. She was a little irritated with me asking these questions. She just wanted me to get to the point. Now, again, all of us have selective memory. And guess what we remember? The first, how the meeting started or how the meeting ended? What do you think? Remember how the meeting started or ended? Exactly. So we're going to listen to this at the beginning. So this advisor was saying, well, this lady was a little ornery, but we're going to listen to the beginning of this meeting, and you tell me whether you think she's ornery or not. Because guess how the conversation starts out? How do you think she is when we first start? Sweet, exactly, Barry. And then and then she gets more and more ornery through the meeting. Why do you think that's happening? What do you think I'm going to show you? No gots, exactly, John. No gots, Chris. So, and again, now Bert says interrogation. Here's the thing. Tony does not his tone of voice, does he come across as an interrogator at all? So you're right, Bert. It's lots of questions, but does he come across as an interrogator? So you know what, Bert? An interrogation is exactly what's it's gonna feel like. Even though when we listen to him, anybody off the street listen to him and say, no, Tony sounds nice. He sounds reasonable. He sounds like a good human being. But consciously or subconsciously, by just asking them question after question with no gots, they're going to get irritated with you. So let me bring up this, if I can find it here. There we go.
So this is usually our longest sentences. Heard of a survivor.
Right at the beginning of the meeting.
But,
so you tell, first of all, I want you to listen and tell me, does she seem mean or nice to begin with?
And remember, I told you I'd take you through 21 points. So we're going to go over the different ones that apply to you, which is, this is the list that we came up with.
I'm sorry. And this was, now, in that first tape we listened to, did those people have any problem with all the questions he was asking them? The tape we just got done listening to. Did they have any problem with all and why didn't they have any problem with the questions he was asking? Because it sounded very what? Conversational, exactly, Fern. It sounded very conversational. Yeah, Barry. So, but what happened is if we don't pay attention to that all the time, or we don't have a client who is naturally conversational, these folks that we just listened to, they were naturally conversational. Some people, can we agree, some people are going to be more conversational than others. So what we need to do is make sure that every meeting sounds conversational. So he's saying these people are getting irritated with all of my questions, but let's listen to what happens here. So here we go.
So as you can see, there's a lot there to cover, so that's why it's going to take a little while to go through that, and we'll try to touch on each one just to make sure we at least know the importance of it. Again, do we have to fix them all next week? No, that's not going to happen.
So again, is he asking questions, or is he asking questions and finishing those questions there? So over time, guess what we want? Chris says, doing what I do. Here's the thing. We're kind of on a mission with the 21, right? And we want to just get to the end. But we can't just get to the end. We have to take it at their pace. And so we have to ask questions and not just answer that for them.
But the big ones we want to make sure we're taking care of sooner than later. Good. So this is the first item is our survivor's guide. Now, have either one of you ever heard of a survivor's guide? Is that something new?
No, that's different from different powers of attorney, because the one we definitely need to get going is the power of financial.
Right.
Power for financial, but that I have not heard of.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is this is not a legal document per se, but
remember, there's three ways to get on somebody's side. First one is say, yes, I agree, you're right. That's the weakest way, right? And then the middle way is to parrot back exactly what they say, not paraphrase, but parrot back exactly what they say. And then the strongest way is to tell them that they're compare them to everybody else and say, wow, I can't believe that you got that. I talk to a lot of people, they don't see that. And, the fact that you've picked up on that says a lot about, either you must research this a lot or it must just come naturally to you, blah, blah, blah. So that's the way we get on their side the most. So when do we use that? When do we use the strongest way? When do we really tell them that they are smart and that they are doing the right thing? Right answer, Trevor? That's one, when they give the right answer. Yep, so you guys are getting that. And did she give me the right answer? And was it a one-word answer, or was it a couple, two or three? There you go, Tony, when there's 2 or 3 sentences. And did she give me 2 or 3 sentences? And was it the right answer? So when they do that, now why would I want to do that right in the beginning of the meeting instead of waiting. For example, why do I want to, with the outside the box, why do we want to give away all the money in the first 10, 15 minutes? Why do we want to give away the little dollars that we give away in the first 10, 15 minutes? It reinforces good behavior, Barry, exactly. Keep them engaged, letting them know that, hey, this is not just me yapping at you. This is going to be a two-way conversation. This is going to be interactive. So please speak, yell out answers. Let's have some fun here. So that's why we give all the money out up front. So why in the 21-point checklist would I be looking very, very early to find a way to get on their side, not with the weakest way, but with the strongest way, which is to compliment them on the fact that they know what's going on and they've got a good head on their shoulders. And, boy, you wished everybody had a head on their shoulders like that. So I'm going to go back and listen instead what happens. And what Tony does is what we naturally want to do as advisors. Let me see if I can back up just a second. So she gets excited. She gives us a sentence or two. She's actually engaged. And here's what we do as advisors. So I'll back it up here. Okay.
There to cover, so that's why it's going to take a little while to go through that. And we'll try to touch on each one just to make sure we at least know the importance of it. Again, do we have to fix them all next week? No, that's not going to happen. But, you know, the big ones we want to make sure we're taking care of sooner than later. Good. So this is the first item is our survivor's guide. Now, have either one of you ever heard of a survivor's guide? Is that something new?
No, that's different from different powers of attorney, because the one we definitely need to get going is the power of financial.
Right.
Power for financial, but that I have not heard of.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is this is not a legal document per se, but it's still, I think, a pretty important one. So let me explain a little bit about what it is.
So what do we like to do? Yeah, we started teaching, Trevor. We started to teach there and say, hey, here's what this power. So what could he have done? What could he have said there? And again, what I tell people is this, is that you have to go in looking for the opportunities or you'll never see them. Because we can step, remember, walking down a sidewalk, we can have hundreds of people step over a quarter and not even see it. But if I told everybody, look for that quarter on the sidewalk, how many of them would see it? Virtually all of them. So if we're not actually looking for that thing, it's going to be, we're going to step over opportunity after opportunity after opportunity because we're not actually looking for it. So what could we have said there? What could we have said there? Because said, wow, I mean, that's terrific that you want to get that financial power of attorney. That's terrific that you want to, you know what? It tells me that you know how important these things are. So many people come in and they have no clue the importance of that power of attorney, but you're telling me we need to cover that. So that says that you get it. I wish everybody got it as much as you did. So we're going to get to that. And like you said, this is a new document as well. So let's talk about that for a second. So what do you think the Survivor's Guide would be about? That's how you do it. See, she was talking about financial power of attorney and how important it was. Hey, that's great. Do we want her to know the importance of power of attorney? Is that a good thing? Yeah, so I'm going to stroke her about that. And then just, again, guide her right into, okay, but now we're going to talk about the Survivor's Guide.
And there's a sample copy in here so we can take a look at it. So a Survivor's Guide, it's along the lines of estate planning. And in other words, you know, it's really, I guess the simplest way to put it, a place to organize your affairs.
Okay.
To say if something happens to us, where is all my stuff?
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, because, you know, are you guys, I know with my wife and I, we didn't know, I mean, she knew some things.
So far, does she sound pretty cooperative? Pretty engaged? Or does she sound like, hey, you know, why are you asking me all these questions? Yeah, so she sounds pretty good.
And I knew some things, and together we were fine. But if something happened to one or the other,
Yeah.
and if both of us go, gee,
Oop, what just happened there, guys? What just happened? Yep, talked over. We can never talk over her. You want me to play it again? I'll play it again here. So just a second here. 436. It's hard to do that. There we go.
my wife and I, we didn't know, I mean, she knew some things, and I knew some things, and together we were fine. But if something happened to one or the other, and if both of us go, geez, the kids, forget it.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did you hear it that time? He talked. Now here's the thing. She talked over him first. hey, are they allowed to talk over us? Yes. But when they start talking, we have to what? Stop. Because otherwise it becomes a competition. Does it become a cooperative thing, or us getting on their side, or does it become more competitive about who's going to be heard louder? And that's not a competition we want to get into.
Yeah, there you go. Passwords. That would be a prime example. So a lot of that.
See, but he's finding occasions to get on her side, but you're going to find that even though when you get on their side a little bit, other things can totally erase that getting on their sides. And talking over them is one of the big things. Not laughing at their jokes, that's another thing. Now, he did a great job of that in the previous tape, right? Laughing at their jokes. So the two big no-nos that you can never do: talk over them or not laugh when they're trying to be funny. So this is one boo-boo.
Stuff is in here, and just this is
guides you through filling.
Okay, good.
yeah, guides you
Okay.
through. So last will and testament. Where do you keep it? Where do you keep
Again, getting on their side with little yeah. You paired it back, so that was good.
the trust? Where do you keep the will? Where do you keep the checkbook? And then documents. Where do you keep your marriage certificate, your any other Social Security, your driver's license, passport? Because are those things that people would need if something happened?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And then it goes through, who are the important people to contact, right? Who's the attorney? Who's the accountant? Who are if we can't find it, who can we contact?
Okay.
Right? And then just other family records, safety deposit boxes, life insurance policies. What else goes into if you have any of those free insurances, like through the credit union, or even work benefits? Because do they call you up if something happens? Are they going to call you up and chase down the family? Yeah, it doesn't work that way, does it? So in fact, I'll give you a short story. My mother-in-law, actually my father-in-law's mother passed. So it would have been my grandmother-in-law, and that was about 10, 12 years ago. And it took them till recently to pay her life insurance. Now, not because they were dragging their feet, nobody knew that she had the life insurance. Would that have benefited the family if we would have got that money early on? So, they would have had it if they knew about it, right? So it's great that you're doing these things, but, does anybody even know, right? Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole bit. I'll just, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be a couple other interesting ones on here I'll just highlight for you that are, how about your personal effects, right? Because
My mother left me a list of which items she wanted to go to which family
Did
member,
she?
so that's a good thing.
yeah, well, that was really smart of her to do that, right?
A couple of years ago.
And did that avoid problems for the family?
It helped.
Yeah.
So I knew to call up people or email them and say, this is what Grandma wanted you to have.
So is she getting animated here? Is she getting animated here? Yeah, she's starting. This is something that's interesting here. She's actually perking up here. So what do we absolutely want to do? Get on her side with the weakest or the strongest? With the strongest. But if we listen to this, I'm going to back it up a little bit, that's what's happening here. So again, we had one opportunity to really get on her side and give her some good strokes for being smarter than the average bear, and we stepped over that, and now here's a second chance for us to do that. So, and this is just 3 minutes later, and see what happens. So go back a bit here.
They would have had it if they knew about it, right? So it's great that you're doing these things, but, does anybody even know, right? Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole bit. I'll just, you get the idea.
Yeah.
There might be a couple other interesting ones on here I'll just highlight for you that are, how about your personal effects, right? Because
My mother left me a list of which items she wanted to go to which family
Did
member,
she?
so that's a good thing.
yeah, well, that was really smart of her to
She
do that,
has.
right? Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Was that it getting on her side? Who did he compliment? Yeah, Tony's actually on, and he says, no, I thought it was at the time. And then when we listened to it, he thought he was complimenting her, but who was he complimenting? The grandmother or her mother. So when we're complimenting, we don't want to compliment the people they're talking about. If they're talking about their kids, don't compliment the kids. They're talking about their mother, don't compliment their mother. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do that, but you're not getting on that's not getting on their side. Getting on their side is saying who's good, their mother or their kid? No. It's saying that they are good. And I've heard it backfire when somebody's complimenting the kid, and then the parent blows up and say, well, that's no good for nothing. I sent him to college. He never calls me, blah, blah, blah. So don't compliment the kid. Don't compliment the brother. Compliment the person that you're talking to. So let's keep listening to this.
A couple of years ago.
And did that avoid problems for the family?
It helped.
Yeah.
So again, instead of complimenting her, he's using it as a what? It's a good open-ended question. Did that help her? But he's using it to sell, which is, I love that. I just wish he would have done a little getting on her side first before he used that open-ended question to get her to verbalize what we want her to verbalize. So again, great question, but not preceded by gots. Great question, but not preceded by gots, which then if you have a lot of great questions, eventually with no gots, guess what they're going to say eventually? Why are you asking all these questions? I don't like all your questions. You gotta squeeze in the gots prior to that.
Well, I knew to call up people or email them and say, this is what Grandma wanted you to have. Do you want it?
Right.
So they could either take it or not take it. So.
Yeah, because if she didn't do that, could that cause rifts?
Again, so this gal is getting animated, and are we just using her animation to make a point, or are we getting on her side with the animation? Again, he's asking good questions. He's asking good questions, but he's using them to make a point without any getting on their sides. So if we do that for an hour and a half, eventually they're going to what? Yeah, no pats on the back, Tony, exactly. If we do that for an hour and a half, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, at some point, they're going to get what? Irritated. So we got to be looking for those opportunities to get on their side, and then, so his questions are awesome, but they're not preceded. We're not working gots in between.
Good.
Yeah.
Many interesting things happen when people die.
Right.
We've experienced all of that.
Yeah, so this is a great place.
So, again, she's animated, and what she's saying, yeah, right. Now, this is a good place. Do you see that? To get a feel for that. I'm going to play that part again, because, again, huge missed opportunity. And then she's getting animated. There's two questions in there to make her make the point for him, and then at the end he just goes, yeah, and then let's go on to the next thing. So this can get people irritated. Not up front, because we're only 7 minutes in, but if you do that for an hour, guess what? And Tony said it did get her irritated.
Say, this is what Grandma wanted you to have. Do you want it?
Right.
So they could either take it or not take it. So.
Yeah, because if she didn't do that, could that cause rifts?
Could.
Yeah.
Many interesting things happen when people die.
Right.
We've experienced all of that.
Yeah, so this is a great place and an opportunity to make a list of your own, right? And then what your final arrangements are, obituary information, and then finally people in.
But again, listen to this. How's his tone? His tone is awesome. And the questions he's asking seem totally valid. And they are. They're awesome questions. But without the getting on their side, eventually all the questions are going to get irritating. You've got to turn into a conversation and make it feel less like you're driving them, and let them know that this is a conversation. We're talking about things. And, boy, when they're smart, we're going to let them know they're smart. So keep going here.
Notify, because again, are they, let's say, would the kids know who's close to you or important to you?
Not always.
And might those people even get a little slighted?
Yeah. Answer the question. Did you pat her on the back at all? She answered the question right. Did not pat her on the back. Just went on to the next thing. So we've been listening for 4 minutes, and we've heard, I think, 2 GOTS, but we've missed 2 opportunities for big GOTS. We saw that there was 3 questions in a row without any GOTS, and then when she was animated, we didn't even adjust that. We've seen another missed GOTS. So just think, in 4 minutes now, we've had about we've missed 2 big opportunities. We overtalked her once, and we've missed 3 small opportunities for GOTS. So do you see how in 4 minutes, at the beginning of the meeting, what kind of tone are we setting here? So again, Tony has a great tone of voice. He's asking great questions. That's what I told him. When advisors tell me, boy, they're getting irritated because I'm asking a lot of questions. That's music to my ears. Why? I love it when advisors say, boy, you know what I'm asking? I mean, people are complaining about all the questions I'm asking them. That's music to my ears. Why? You know how to fix it. That's right, Fern. Exactly. Know how to fix it. Here's what I love about it. I know they're at the cusp. I know they're at the very cusp of huge things because they've now mastered the art of asking a lot of questions. Because if the clients are complaining about the amount of questions being asked, that means you're asking a lot of questions. That means the only thing we have to do now is just get them to GOTS. That's all. It means he's almost there. In fact, he was there in the previous tape and then kind of backslid a little bit here. And that's the importance of always sending in the tapes.
If they weren't notified, say, well, you said whatever. Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah. So this is just another, it's not a have-to thing, but it's a nice idea.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have that note, right? Again, not a lead.
And again, is she irritated with questions? Does it sound like she's irritated about questions at this point, or she's pretty involved and happy with the whole process so far? Even seems happy, yeah, Casey. Agreeable. So when I first talked to the advisors, they're getting mad at me for all the questions. But again, they weren't mad at the beginning with all the questions, right? But you could see if we kept doing that 4 minutes upon 4 minutes upon 4 minutes upon 4 minutes, pretty soon that's going to add up to what? Some frustration on their part.
Legal document, but that gives it a little more weight. And then where do you think you'd keep something like that?
I would put it in the safety deposit box, but you also need a copy in an accessible place.
Yeah, that's the thing is, can't everybody get to the safety deposit? And that sometimes.
Okay, so did he get on her side or did he improve her answer? He improved her answer. So what's that say to her about her answer to his question? I'm going to play it back so you can hear what that sounds like. So he didn't get on her side, he just improved her answer. So I'm going to play it back a little bit here if I can find it. Here we go.
But that gives it a little more weight. And then where do you think you'd keep something like that?
I would put it in the safety deposit box, but you also need a copy in an accessible place.
Yeah, that's the thing is, can't everybody get to the safety deposit?
Right.
See, did she give him a great answer? Was that a great answer? Yes, and instead of really getting on her side, he improved on her. And yeah, and Tony's saying he missed it, and that's what we talk. And again, Tony is here's what I tell guys like Tony. He has such a great tone of voice and so gentle and nice that he gets away with things other people can't get away with. But even when you're nice and have that great tone of voice, believe me, either consciously or subconsciously, people get irritated with you just asking all these questions, and then when you ask a question, you correct them. And again, would most people off the street that aren't trained like you guys, would most people off the street even listen to this tape say that Tony corrected her? If they weren't trained with the 5Q, would they say that Tony corrected? No. But do you all see that did he correct her? And he did it not by saying you're wrong. He just said, hey, yeah, that's a good answer. Here, let me give you a better one. Do you get that?
Sometimes those get locked down even more, right? So, yeah, like you said, a copy in an accessible place would be a great way.
Now, he did at least come back and say, like you said. That's a good thing. Hey, like you said, he is giving her credit, but after correcting her, so that's not enough. You've already ruined the good chance there.
And you probably want to do one of these on each of you because, some of the assets.
And then never tell them what they need to do. Instead, they say, so what do you think? Do you think you should do it on one of you? Don't tell them what they need to do. Again, that's what? What are the 4 things we're not supposed to be doing? Telling, selling, preaching, and teaching. So he's telling them what to do. Never tell them what to do. Never teach them. Let them find out for themselves. Let them tell you what they need to do. So, I mean, these little things can really start to add up. And, like I've said, it's a layer of an onion. So if you're a cook and one of the layers is bruised and I peel that off, is that going to ruin the recipe, guys? So if the recipe calls for an onion and I peel off the first, no, it's not going to ruin the recipe. How about if I just peel off the next level? Will that ruin the recipe? No. How about the next layer? No. The next layer? No. Next layer? No. And when do we really know what layer damaged the recipe? we won't ever know. Now, and here's the thing. For some people that have a more discerning taste, maybe even pulling off 3 layers of onions, they could taste it. Maybe somebody like me, I couldn't taste it till you pull off 50 layers. So we don't know when it's going to affect people, and some people will affect it sooner or later, but eventually, if you keep doing these little things, it's like pick, 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 pick. They don't even know why they're irritated with you. It's subconsciously. They don't even know why they're irritated with you. They're just irritated with you.
Maybe different and so forth. So, so why do you think we'd want to have a survivor's guide in place?
Awesome question. This is terrific. After you cover one of these non-financial things, you always follow up with, so why do you want this document? That was a great job of doing that. So do you get, is he asking questions? And are they great questions? Is he asking enough questions, and are they great questions, open-ended questions? Yeah, fantastic questions. It's just that you gotta bumper them with GOTS, or they're going to get irritated.
Well, for our survivors.
Yeah.
Whoever is surviving who, so.
Yeah, what kind of problems might it help avoid?
A whole lot of confusion.
So do you see, she gave him an answer, and then he followed immediately up with another question, which makes her feel what? Like it's a conversation, or he's driving her somewhere, driving her into a corner, saying, yeah, and what's that going to do? So it's like you're talking to your kid. You need to clean up your room. Why do you need to clean up your, or do you need to clean up your room? Yeah. Why do you need to do it? What's that make them feel like? So if you follow up, if you ask them a question, and then you follow up with immediately another question, it just feels like you're driving them, and people will get, Tony's saying, yeah, Tony's saying, I heard that loud and clear that time.
Because both of our parents have passed. We've been there, done that. Every scenario, ugly and not ugly.
You could probably tell me that.
Oh, and just what happened right there, guys. Which is what's one of the big no-nos? What do you do right there? Talked over again. So, again, do you see how this is starting to snowball out of control a little bit?
We have so done this. So
Okay.
this is good to know.
Yeah, so I think this would be helpful, and most people.
So she said, "It's good. This is good to know." She's saying exactly what he wants her to say. Is she saying exactly what he wants her to say? And instead of complimenting her on that, remember, that's the second reason. So you want to really get on their side with the most powerful ways. When they say something you want them to say, when they tell you the moral of the story, you're going to really get on their side. But instead, I'm going to back it up. Let's hear what happens.
Avoid.
A whole lot of confusion because both of our parents have passed. We've been there, done that. Every scenario, ugly and not ugly.
You could probably tell me the problem.
We have so done this. So
Okay.
this is good to know.
Yeah, so I think this would be helpful.
I think this would be helpful. So then he's back to what? Telling, selling, preaching, and teaching. Yeah, that's right. You got it, Chris. You got it, John. Both of you. Yeah, I think this would be helpful. So don't tell them what's going to be helpful. Let them tell you. So right in that little, she was animated. Now, so do you see how right now she's not mad about all the questions, right? She's not mad. But do you see that we're only 8 minutes in, and how many times did we talk over? That's the third time we talked over. We've missed now 3 major chances to get on her side a lot, because she was showing animation and she was happy to be having this conversation. She was happy to be having this conversation. When people give you more than a sentence or a one-word answer, they give you 2 or 3 sentences, that tells you they're interested in what? Having a conversation. But when she was interested in having a conversation, did it appear like Tony was interested in having a conversation with her, or was he more worried about getting to the next topic? And here's the thing about Tony. Tony gets the script. He is an awesome, he gets it. He's a great student of the system. He gets it on the script. So it's not because he's worried what the next part is. It's just that he's kind of what? Enjoying where he's at right now, or is he on a mission? Yeah, exactly. He's anxious to move on. And that's, we all have that. We want to get to the next thing, just to point that out. But instead, You got to go slower. We're having a conversation here. We're not trying to tell, sell, preach, or teach. Telling, selling, preaching, teaching, those are awesome ways to move a conversation. How quickly? Yep, Tony, focus on the mission. Tony's saying I was focused on the mission. Telling, selling, preaching, teaching will move a conversation very, very rapidly. That's not our, it's our goal here to finish in an hour and a half rather than 3 hours. Is that going to help us? Hey, I would like to do that, but is that going to help us at all? No. We finish when we're what? When the client's what? Finished. So does that make sense? I mean, Tony's doing everything right. He's asking great questions, open-ended questions. He doesn't sound like he's aggressive, but do you see how even with a nice guy, even with a guy who knows what questions to ask, if you don't have those guts in there, people are going to get what? Why are you asking me all these questions? So the first tape we listened to, he did a fantastic job of asking questions, getting on their side, laughing with them, and having a conversation. But you see with this one, he was a little bit more driven to get to the end. Does that make sense to everybody? So was listening to the tape. First of all, Tony, thank you for letting me share these tapes, because I mean, this shows how you can be great 1 month and do some backsliding just 1 month later. So everybody's saying thanks, Tony. Everybody's giving you a thanks. So was this helpful to everybody? So it's the little things, isn't it? But always, when you go into a meeting, be saying to yourself that 30 seconds before you leave, the client walks into your office, sit down, close your eyes, and say, I'm going to be looking for opportunities to get on their side. You got to be looking for them, because if you wait for them to happen, you won't even see them. Vroom, right over your head. Vroom, right over your head. Vroom, right over your head. Got to be looking for them. Does that make sense? Super. Have a great, again, Tony, thanks, and Tom, thanks for your input early in the call, and thanks to all you guys for being on the call this morning, and we'll talk to you all on Friday. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you.